Welcome everyone to our session today on Copilot and Microsoft Teams. This to me is one of the applications that seriously, by habit, I've changed my habit over the past 6 months to include, I open up my Outlook, I open up Teams, and I'm opening up my Copilot app. I can use Copilot, as we'll see, you can use it through other applications. But because I am using it so much, I seriously am opening the app to have it available all the time. So let me actually jump to that right now so you can see what exactly is she talking about. So when we are actually, sorry, there it is. So when you actually log into your Microsoft account, on the left-hand side, you have access to Copilot. Just to give you a brief overview of what I'm talking about, the URL, by the way, a lot of people will save this, which I do. I have it saved up on my browser here as a favorite or a bookmark so that I can just click on it every time I open up my internet browser. I go to that. I keep another tab open usually as well for other searching. But I got to tell you, I use Copilot all day. And I don't have to be directly in Teams to use Copilot with Teams. I'll demonstrate some things and let you know a little bit more about that when I'm kind of get to that point here today. But just so you're aware, when we were just chatting about agents, if you look at my left-hand side, my menu bar, on this navigation, you're going to see a category called agents. I have a couple of them that I have turned on and one that I actually created that I'm using all the time. So just so you know, they are readily available right here within the Copilot app. But I will actually show you when I'm in Microsoft Teams how you can access them as well. And just a kind of a teaser again for the next session in December, agents have a new feature within Excel as well. There are some super exciting things coming yet this year and into the first couple of months of 2026 that we'll discuss as well. But I got to tell you, Copilot itself to me is my go-to. And you'll see why when you start seeing some of these examples here today. So with that, let's get started. So when we talk about what exactly is Copilot, Copilot is this additional tool that with a license, so the version I'm using, I do have a paid for license of Copilot. I am not using today the free version. I am using the paid for version through my Microsoft account. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because then you can have it integrated right within your 365 app. So when you're in 365, no matter which app you're in, Copilot is readily available for you to use. Can you use it just as a search engine tool? Absolutely. Especially if you're like me and you're using Bing as your search engine. I use Microsoft Edge technically. In Microsoft Edge, Copilot is built in. I have a Copilot icon on my keyboard. I have a Copilot icon on my taskbar down at the bottom. I mean, Copilot is absolutely everywhere. But what does it do? It's an AI tool within your 365 that allows us to take advantage of asking it questions. We'll get into a little bit of what I mean by asking it questions, but we can use very natural language when we are talking with the system. And you could seriously talk to the system. It's pretty cool. But when we refer to what it does and how it all works, it's actually trained. So it's using this large language model behind the scenes to be able to have us communicate with it and have it give us a response back. So that was a very brief introduction to what exactly it is. As I mentioned, you will want to have, if possible, a paid for a subscription, not prescription, subscription to Copilot to take full advantage of being able to utilize it. Also, it's a good idea to make sure that you have the latest updates. There have been some changes to it over the past couple of months, and I'm going to be demonstrating one of those changes that has just been released that I am taking advantage of every time I do a Teams meeting. So we'll see what that is here very shortly. So just so everybody's aware, there are some, of course, limitations when it comes to using Copilot. I always like to put this little disclaimer in there because it is not perfect. So the responses that you're going to get back, which I had one the other day that it was like, what was it even thinking? I gave it a good prompt, I thought, and it just gave me an answer that did not match up at all. So always pre-read before you just click send. So when we demonstrate using it in a chat, using it in a post in Teams, those kind of things, I got to tell you, you want to reread those. You don't want to just let Copilot do all the work, although sometimes we can. You do have to kind of go back and say, okay, what it wrote isn't exactly how I would say it. Reword it a little bit before you send it. Also, if you're working with any files, which I'll be demonstrating some file ways we can use Copilot in Teams with files as well. It is dependent upon them being in the cloud. So what do we mean by being in the cloud? We're talking about having SharePoint, Microsoft Teams files, because of course that is SharePoint, document libraries, and then of course your OneDrive as well. So the files do need to be a part of the cloud to be utilized through Copilot, just so you're aware of that. Okay. The data structure that it's referring to, depending on what it is you're having Copilot do, the data structure is extremely important as well. Because if I'm having it do something in a Word document or helping me create something in a channel, you have to have the right structure of your data for it to work with you correctly. So some of that definitely does require some extra making sure things are good to go first. But how do you get to it? As I had mentioned, you can get to the actual, excuse me, I got a tickle. Uh, you can get to the app by just logging into your Microsoft account. It's m365.microsoft.com. Go to office.com, but add it as a shortcut, like I said, makes it so much easier. Also, you can access it directly through Microsoft Teams. So if I'm here in Microsoft Teams, the actual application, on the left-hand side, you have a Copilot icon. So you can actually open Copilot directly there. But I got to tell you, I don't do that. I very rarely do that because I already have a window open on my browser that has my Copilot automatically open, so I'm ready to go. And when I'm doing that, by the way, just so you're aware of this, because I forgot to mention it when I was showing this screen before, I'm in Microsoft Edge. I logged into my Microsoft account. Like I said, I have my shortcut, so it automatically is logged in technically. But I am actually logged in on this browser with my business account, just so you're aware. So when you look at the top right of the screen, it does need to make sure that it is your business account that you're logged in at. Otherwise, it could be using just standard Copilot, which is the free version, if you're in a generic user account. So do make sure that you are logged in with your Microsoft business account. Okay, just a side note, I wanted to make sure everybody understood. So anyway, where else can you find Copilot? You can find it pretty much anywhere. It's on the home tab of your applications like Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, those kind of things. Just so you're aware, you can access it that way as well. Um, by the way, you also, if you're in the new Outlook, for those of you that are using the new Outlook, let me just kind of share this with you. If you're in the new Outlook, you can actually have an icon on the left-hand side of your Copilot as well. I'm not in Classic, I'm in the new one right now, and I have an icon for my Copilot right here through Outlook. You have so many different ways you can access it. But like I said, on your main applications, it will be an icon right on your home tab of the ribbon. Not so much in Microsoft Teams, which we'll get to in just a moment, how to utilize it from there. It's in consistent areas throughout it, but otherwise it's going to be on the home tab. Okay, so let's continue. So different features that are available that you can use to take advantage of using the Copilot app. So the Copilot app does connect to either your work account or it connects directly with the internet. So when you are actually logged in on your Microsoft account and you're out on your internet browser, just like this one, show you this one again. You have this work and web option at the top. So you can tell the system that I wanted to look at my work account, which is looking at your entire 365 account, which yes, includes Microsoft Teams, or if you wanted to search the web. So like if you wanted to search the web, I just clicked on web. It's actually giving me some suggestions down at the bottom for prompting, which I'm going to get more into prompting here. But just to give you a quick demo of why would I use it for the web, not directly within my Microsoft account. What if I want to know something about using Microsoft Teams? Like, what if I want to ask it, what is the main purpose of using Microsoft Teams? I didn't spell all that correctly, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and just click send. You could use the web part just to find further information about Microsoft Teams, especially if you haven't been taking advantage of all the features. Some people are really starting to embrace more of the call features. I use it all the time. I I like being able to have my video on when I'm talking to someone. If I just want to do a quick conversation on my phone, great, but I can't record it. I can't share my screen. I can't do chatting with the person still or multiple people. I just don't use my phone as much. I use the calling feature. So I could actually look that up in Copilot app if I want to know more information about using it and where you can go to use it or whatever your case might be, you could just look it up. Otherwise, I spend a majority of my time right on the work option because it's fully integrated then with my 365. But just so you can see what it came back with, here's the key purposes: real-time communication, collaboration on files, organized workspaces, meetings and scheduling. So it's giving us some really key highlights of why we should use Microsoft Teams in general. So it's pretty cool that it does that. Now, while I'm in here, before I start diving into a few more examples of using it with Teams, I just switched over to work. So I clicked on the icon at the top for work. So before I do my next demo, another example of how to utilize it, I'm also going to go over to the right-hand side and click on Try GPT-5. If you haven't heard already, GPT-5 is actually the latest model. If you kind of think of it as being versions of Copilot, that's kind of like a way to describe what a model is. So right now, the latest and greatest is GPT-5, which is a model that does deeper reasoning. It has a lot of enhancements behind it. It will switch over and use it automatically here shortly. But if you still see the Try GPT-5, if you click it, the chatting that you do will actually be utilizing that model. And why wouldn't you want to use the latest model? Because it's the most up to date. So remember when I was saying that Copilot is trained? This is the most up-to-date version of it. So you probably want to take advantage of that. So I'm going to leave that here for right now. I'm going to come back and talk a little bit more about, of course, some different aspects that we have and some other benefits first, and we'll dive into some examples in between some of these key benefits and productivity enhancements we have within our Copilot. So when we start talking about utilizing Copilot, we could use it for so many different things. So there's a lot of benefits to it. Meeting productivity for me is one of the main features that I use, and I will be demonstrating several ways to use Copilot during meetings today during our demonstrations. But here with Copilot, it's for collaborating, improve productivity. We use it to do workflow efficiencies. So with Microsoft Teams, it really does help us to work smarter because it's going to help us to be able to summarize meetings, automate tasks. I use it all the time for those, improving collaboration in real time. So it helps us to really reduce the manual effort. Anytime I say that word manual, I want to find an automated way to do things. It's not replacing people, it is enhancing the way that we work. So it's our assistant. So meeting productivity is huge. It helps with Q&A support. There's just so many things. I could probably spend all day just talking about different benefits, But these are laid out in your handouts as well, so something you can refer back to later. But when we talk about the enhanced collaboration, streamlining communication is one of the key things that we can use Copilot in Teams for, helping us to summarize conversations, whether they're a chat with an individual or a group, it's a post that we're putting on a channel. It can help us write the posts. It can help you rewrite things within a chat, which I've been using more and more of because I'm chatting with a lot of variety of different people. I'm chatting with customers, I'm chatting with clients, I'm chatting with executives within my organization. I'm chatting with a lot of different people, and I want to make sure what I'm saying isn't too generic. I know it's a casual conversation when we're chatting, but you still want to be thinking about those. So cross-department efficiencies, it really can help us coordinate those tasks, and it integrates with our other 365 accounts or our other 365 apps like Word and Excel and those kind of things. But unbelievable what it can actually do. So when we get into a few examples, let me just kind of throw one at you right now. What if I'm in the app and I'm on my work tab and I want to know some things going on in Microsoft Teams? Do I have to go to Teams to do that? Absolutely not. You do not. So, what I'm asking it right now is what Teams meetings did I have with Sylvia Lemons this year? I just need to know what meetings did I have with this client this year. I can put information like that into a chat, not having to be in the application, and it will go out and search my account to find the results and bring it back and summarize things for us. So the results that you get back, by the way, are based on prompting. Now, like I said, we will get into a little bit more on the prompt examples here after we go through a few more of the benefits, the kind of reasons we want to be using it. But I got to tell you, these things are ones that I use on a daily basis. I'm actually setting up some agents that we'll talk about in the agents class that are utilizing my Microsoft, excuse me, my Microsoft Teams so that I can have an agent that is going to go into Microsoft Teams and summarize things for me. Or if I were gone, like right now that we're coming up on holiday vacations, if I need to know what was going on, um, while I was gone for the past 8 days or whatever the case is, I can have Copilot do all that for me. What have I missed in my posts, in my channels, and even specify which ones, or say generally, what have I missed for posts? I mean, just think about the things that you do manually. And how long does it take you to manually find that information? Don't manually do anything. See if Copilot can help you instead. So anyway, it's coming back and giving me that information. It's breaking things down by month and stuff. I did have quite a few meetings with her, so it did come back. It took a minute for it to get all that, but it's even giving me suggested prompts to go along with it, and I highly recommend you look for those. Anytime you're using Copilot, but especially depending on what I'm doing, I may not think of everything that I could continue that conversation with Copilot. So down at the bottom of the actual results, it says, would you like me to compile these into a single downloadable calendar file or summarize the reoccurring themes and topics discussed in each of these meetings? It's like, oh, I guess I wouldn't have even thought of the fact that Copilot could do that for me. So I could actually click the icons down below. So I could even say, are there any upcoming meetings with Sylvia? I was asking it about things in the past. Do I have anything else that's coming up? And then Copilot can actually help me to prepare for those upcoming meetings as well. So always watch those suggested prompts that you get at the bottom to help you carry on that conversation, because that's where you learn more of the insights as to what exactly can Copilot do. So it's running out and it's looking for the information. Um, the upcoming meetings that I have with Sylvia, it might take a minute. So while it's doing that, let's jump back in. I don't want to waste any of our precious time that we have here today. But when it came to that productivity, it can eliminate manual note taking as well. So when we talk about, oh, I'm sorry, I clicked ahead too soon there, but when it comes to doing meetings in Microsoft Teams, which I do on average, I probably do 10 Teams meetings a week. And it's amazing to me how I have been taking advantage of Copilot in those meetings. So that's going to be a big part of some of the demonstrations as well. But there's no need for somebody to be jotting down all the meeting notes anymore or taking attendance or anything. We really have ways that Copilot can do it for us, and we can be asking it questions. Was there anyone that sounded concerned over this project that our meeting was about? Different task related. Is there any follow-up things we should be doing? So talk about time savings. Unbelievable the time savings that you're going to get. And I got to say, I've been keeping track and kind of seeing on average how much time I think that Copilot is actually saving me in a day, and it's over an hour. I am kind of getting close to an hour and 30 minutes of time savings by using Copilot every single day. Just think of what you can get done in 10 minutes, let alone having back an hour or even 30 minutes I would take. Just taking advantage of having it is going to be fantastic. But it's all about prompting. And it doesn't matter if you're using it in the app or you're using just the Copilot app on the browser. It is very essential that you are doing effective prompts. So begin with clear instructions so that you're guiding Copilot's responses. Use specific keywords or phrases to help define what your output should be. What do you really envision Copilot to give you? Review and refine the prompts to make sure that they're accurate. You may not think of everything when you do your first prompt. Sometimes you'll go back and, add into that prompt again. So a couple of tips that I want to go through with you. Um, the first tip is this tip number one is when we talk about using Copilot, think about the different things that you're going to be able to do with it because it is unbelievable what we can have Copilot do. Now, let me actually give you an example of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go back into my Copilot app. Now, it did come back, by the way, with the answer to the previous question. There is an upcoming meeting with Sylvia. And by the way, you know how mine was a little sluggish at first? That's because I'm using GPT-5, which does a more deep reasoning than the older versions. So they are speeding that process up as we speak, but just so you know, it might be a little bit slower to begin with. But I'm going to do a new chat because I'm starting a brand new conversation with the system. I'm going to be on work, but I am going to use my Try GPT-5. And what I want to ask it is, I want to ask Copilot to recap the SharePoint training meeting that I had on November 10th and suggest any agenda for follow-up meetings based on any outcome items. Include a table that shows action items and who is responsible for each item. That's a lot. Now, I usually talk to Copilot. I just click on the microphone icon and talk directly with it. But the reason I'm giving it this detail is because of the prompt suggestions. When we talk about being more specific, include more specific and details in your prompts, I'm giving it the details. If I would have just said, recap the SharePoint training meeting, would it have known the date of the meeting? Because what if I had two meetings called SharePoint training? Is it going to understand that? And then what kind of an output do I want it to give me? What am I going to do with it? Who's going to be the audience of it? You want to think about giving it more than less information. Otherwise, you're going to have to reprompt again. And that it's not bad to reprompt, but you want to save as much time as you can and have the first prompt that goes out to be ready to go. That one is exactly what I'm looking for. So as we go through a few other examples, it's doing a reasoning right now, by the way. This is the GPT-5 engine behind the scenes. I just wanted to make sure that you kind of understood that it's doing that deep reasoning. So it's doing a recap and planning follow-up, planning search queries. It's searching through the content of my 365 account to find that meeting and then go through the actual meeting content. Now, it was recorded. It was a recorded training, just so that you know. But it's going out there and it's analyzing all the event dates that had that, you know, based on November 10th, I think I told it, searching for the meeting details. So it's going to take a second for it to come back with that result. But the result that it's going to give me is saving me so much time. It would take me probably more than 30 minutes, probably more than an hour to kind of do all that on my own. Why would I do it on my own when Copilot seriously can do it in a couple of minutes? Now, yes, it's taking a minute for it to do all that, but I'm using such deep reasoning. Now, there'll be some surprises in the agent one that we'll kind of talk about with that too. But let me jump back to PowerPoint for just a minute and talk about tip number two. Adjust uh, when we talk about adapting your message. So when you're prompting it, make sure that you're adjusting it so that it really understands what kind of tone it should use. Do you want it professional? Do you want it casual, enthusiastic? Because if I'm asking it to help me write something in Teams, I want to make sure that what it's writing is going to fit what it is I really want. Example prompts can be, make it longer, make it shorter, make it cheerful. Because if I'm following up on a difficult meeting, I might want to have it be enthusiastic, especially if we just had a meeting and I want to do a follow-up post on our team's channel about the meeting we just had. And if it was a difficult meeting because we're talking about all these, risks that are going to be with our project and all these other things, we might want to have a very upbeat attitude going into that post to keep people ready to go with this project. You want to be thinking about those things as you are putting in these prompts. So tip number 4, catch up on information faster by asking Copilot for key takeaways from a chat or specific information you missed. So if we miss something, we could use Copilot to help us with that. Like the example that you're seeing here is you can even reference a chat participant in your prompt, like asking things like, what files has Aaron shared? So if I have a chat and we have that shared tab in a chat, which I'll demonstrate how that can work here in just a moment, you're going to actually be able to say, was there something that was shared and I could have missed it? Because there can be a lot of chatting going on, especially when you have group chats with multiple people. You might have missed something, and Copilot can help you to recover that information that you have missed. So a couple more tips before I jump back into Copilot here real quick, and then we'll do a few more demonstrations. But Copilot can really help you with personal tasks and action items that you might have missed. So we can actually say, follow up on what do I need to follow up on? So if I haven't answered some chats, I could ask Copilot to help me follow up on those chats that I haven't responded to. The other day, I was super busy all day long. And there were some chats that had come throughout the day that I was not going to look at because I had so many other things going on. I didn't have time. I just asked Copilot to help me with those items. So I can ask it, is there any chats that I missed today that should be on my high priority list? Things that I should take care of right away. Kind of give me a summary of what it is that I missed for chats and posts and put them in an order of priority. So just so you kind of think about those kind of things that Copilot really can do, which is fantastic. So a couple other tips before we get back into a few demonstrations again. Copilot in chats and channels will give better responses with more specific direction. So create a table with everyone's action items, include the action items, the person's name and the due date. Give it that detail. Don't just put in, go to a channel in a team, go to create a new post and say create a table. It's not going to understand what you're trying to get out of it. It does not read our minds. As of today, Copilot does not read our minds. We have to give it the information. So tip number 7 that you have, go beyond meeting summarization by using Copilot to help drive alignment and improving meeting outcomes. It can actually help you with creating the agenda. It can help you So it really helps us before, during, and after the meeting. And we're going to see some examples of that. But just so you could see a couple of suggestions, what questions are unsolved, or suggest a follow-up question. If we had a meeting and what can we use to help improve meeting efficiencies and productivity? Because we always want to get better at doing our meetings. It can analyze your past meetings and come back and let you know if they have any suggestions. I've actually been doing more and more of that because I want to make sure that things are being done the most appropriate way and we're not wasting people's time. Tip number 8, ask Copilot to format and categorize the discussion points to help you stay organized with your next steps. So if you have a specific way you want the meeting notes or whatever to be generated through Copilot, tell it. It's not going to know unless you tell it. So list different perspectives by topic. List the pros and cons based on this subject that we had during the meeting. Whatever it is your meeting was about, give it enough detail as to what it is that you wanted to help you get back out of it again. So a sample prompt, this is a great, kind of match up with these 5 different things on the right. So first off, a suggested prompt, a sample prompt. Tell it who you are. Who do you want Copilot to act as? So I could say, act as an internal communicator, act as a business manager. When it is writing the chat, writing the post that you want it to do, tell it who they should be. Also have a clear objective. So if I say, act as a business manager, create a newsletter that is going to be related to this detail. Know your audience. Who are you going to provide this to? Is it going to be a report that you're giving to the executive committee? Is this going to be an is it writing a chat, giving a link that's going to take them to the report? Give them the details that they need, clear parameters, and add context. So if there's any tone that you want it to be using, you have a subject, an audience, put that key points all in there so that Copilot seriously does understand exactly what it is that we want it to do. Now, let me jump back to actually to my Copilot. So here's what it came back with. Below is a concise evidence-based recap of the SharePoint training. Now, it was an hour-long training, just so you're aware. So it says you had 2 sessions. That's kind of why it took so long too. I didn't specify which sessions. I did 2 SharePoint trainings in one day, so just so you know. But anyway, it's going to come back with all of that detail for us. So it's pretty cool that Copilot can do all of that directly for us. We don't have to worry about what exactly where can I go to even get this information? So let me demonstrate a few things directly within Microsoft Teams, just to kind of give you an idea. Where can you go to take advantage of Teams? If you are in Teams itself, you go to the app, you go to Microsoft Teams, you go to a channel within your team, and you go to the Post tab. This is one way you're going to be able to take advantage of using Copilot. If you go to post in the channel, you can, of course, put in a subject and start typing your message. So what if I want to do a follow-up post about the meeting on access last week? I wanted to do a post based on this. Am I giving it enough information? Is that what I really should be saying? You have an icon down at the bottom left when you start a post. You could select text, because if I want just specific information rewritten, you can click on this little pencil with the star. That is rewrite with Copilot. If I click rewrite with Copilot, it's going to give me some suggestions on it. I could click rewrite or I could use the adjust. First, I'm just going to do the rewrite. So it says follow up regarding last week's meeting on access. If I want to adjust it, I click adjust and I can say, make it more concise, make it longer, make it sound more casual, professional, enthusiastic. You even can click on custom and choose whatever you want to be providing it for detail. or simply go back to the adjust icon again. And this is where you want to really start taking advantage of it. Because if I wanted to make it a little bit more professional, the more you provide, the better it's going to be on the rewrite. But you can see that I could say rewrite it again, and I can toggle in between the results that I'm getting. Okay, so here's the arrows down at the bottom of this post. I can use those, and if I'm on one that I like, I can click replace, and it will replace whatever it is that was on that suggestion at that specific time. So that's one way that you're going to be able to take advantage of using Copilot within Microsoft Teams. But let me take you to what people use, the two other ones that people probably use a little bit more. I'm going to go to the left-hand side and I'm going to go to chat. And I'm on a chat from this person called Student One. And if I wanted to help me with this chat, the different ways that you can actually utilize it is if you have a group chat, you could actually ask it any information. What were the follow-up items that were listed within the last week? Do I have any follow-up items in this Teams chat or a Teams channel that I want to be looking up? What is the highest priority tasks from chats within Microsoft Teams? Now, am I going to do it right here in this chat? Well, I certainly could. But I could also go to the Copilot app as well. But just so you could see, when you are in a chat, whether you're creating a new one or you have an existing one, there's the Copilot icon up at the top right. It's a kind of a generic, it's not the colored pretty one, but just so you could see, you can click Copilot. It's going to open up the Copilot pane on the right-hand side where you can start doing your communication with it. That's where those prompting comes in. But notice that it's giving you some suggestions down at the bottom. I'm going to actually put in a prompt. What is my highest priority task from chats within Microsoft Teams? Now, is that enough? Do I want it to really be looking at chats from forever ago? Or do I want to actually add that to this a little bit? I might want to add. And a suggestion of what you could add to this is, what if I want to actually say within the last week? Then it's going to look at the chats from within the last week and come back and give me a summary. Now, of course, if the chat prompt, if it doesn't understand what it is, then it's going to come back and let you know that. If it needs more information to help analyze whatever it is that you're asking it, you definitely can do that. So it says it checked the Teams chat from Jolyn Marine and Student One for the messages from the last week, but there weren't any recent messages. So it actually came back and let me know that. And it's asking me, do I want it to actually check from the last 2 weeks or show me any high priority tasks from all team chats? I could say from all teams chats and click go, and it will come back and give me that information. Now, this is kind of a dummy account, so it doesn't have a ton of information in it, just so you're aware, but just to give you some ideas of how you could be utilizing it. So you don't have to go to the app online. You can be using Copilot here directly within through the chat. If you want to open the icon on the left-hand side, you can do that as well. But I usually am in my chat most of the day. And so this is where I definitely take advantage of it. Now, just so you know, I'm also on work at the top of the menu. I'm not on web. So I'm not asking it to go out to the internet and look for some information. I'm having it do it directly here. So when it will come back and with that result here in just a moment. But in the meantime, because we'll run out of time before too long here, where do I use Copilot a lot is with meetings. One of the newer features, which is of course described in your handout as well, is actually going to be a feature called Facilitator. So let's say that I want to create a new meeting for today at 2 o'clock. I could go to 2 o'clock, click on my time frame here in Microsoft Teams calendar, and it comes up with my meeting. Now I'm just going to maximize this window to take full advantage of the whole thing. And I'm going to say we're going to be doing a new project in 2026 meeting. I'm going to spell that correctly here. Sorry about that. And then who do I want to invite? I can invite everybody that I want to attend. But down at the bottom, I could choose draft an agenda for me. So Copilot is built in right away. First, I'm going to turn on Teams meeting. I'm going to say this is going to be a Teams meeting. Then I'm going to say draft an agenda for me. So it actually was looking through my previous messages with this person and previous information with this person to come back with an agenda. So I'm going to say keep it. It automatically has inserted the what it came up with from previous conversations with that person, and it wrote the agenda for me and placed it right within the details. So I could leave it just as that, but before I do that, there's one other thing that you want to do before you actually send the meeting, and that's on the ribbon at the top. If you go to the meeting options, not that you can't do this once you start the meeting, but what you want to do here is take advantage of having things set up ready to go for when you actually start the meeting. So if you go into meeting options, you could choose, can people bypass the lobby? If so, who can? What role is everybody going to play? Do we want to start with the green room so that we can be in the room before we actually go live with everybody else joining? Can the participants use their microphones and their um, cameras? But once you come down to the, do you want to have it record and transcribe? There's a new feature under Copilot and other AI, allow Copilot and Facilitator. I'm going to turn Facilitator on. I want it to use English language. And I'm going to say during and after the meeting, I want Facilitator to be available. I'm going to go ahead and click Apply, and I'm actually going to send this. So once it's done, I'm going to say I'm good to go. I'm going to click send. So what's going to happen when you actually start that meeting is the facilitator will automatically be utilized. Now, I do have some information on facilitator. Let me kind of get to that here. It could do drafting, it could do translation. I'll show you some of these demonstrations here. But Copilot in Teams meetings, you can use it before, you can use it during, and you could be using it afterwards. And this new facilitator is going to be a great option to use. So you saw how I could use it to help create an agenda. Now I could have told it create an agenda based on this information. Okay, it can help you prepare talking points. It can actually help you prepare for the meeting and have it look at who the participants are, look at a specific document, those kind of things. So real-time meeting support is what it's also going to offer. So it can do summaries during the meeting, help with question clarifications during the meeting. And then after the meeting, it can also help with recaps. It can do our meeting notes. It can help us generate automated task assignments. It can do follow-up communication drafting. It's unbelievable. I could go on and on about what this new facilitator can actually do for us. But let me actually go and do that meeting. So let me jump back to Microsoft Teams here, and I'm going to say I want to go ahead and join this meeting. Hopefully this will work okay with being in Zoom and being in Teams here, but I won't turn my camera on, and I'm going to turn my microphone off because I already have this microphone being used, and I'm going to click join. So just so you could see what comes up. There is another new feature called controls that is specifically related to the facilitator of the meeting. Just so you know, Microsoft just enhanced that feature, but it is automatically using facilitator. If you didn't turn facilitator on prior to the meeting starting, by the way, I'm going to click start recording. So it's recording this for just a moment, but just so you could see, you can turn the facilitator on during a meeting. So if you forgot to do it prior, as you set up the meeting, don't worry about it. You can turn it on by going to the more category, click turn on facilitator, and it will automatically be turned on. We also have a timer that you can use. So if there's a countdown to when the meeting is going to start and things like that, you could be adding those in as well. So it's doing notes. It's taking, so facilitator is working. You could see when I clicked notes from the menu up at the top, facilitator is working, and everything that I'm doing right now, facilitator is keeping track of all of that. But let me go ahead and end this meeting. I'm going to say end meeting so that it is automatically done with that meeting. So facilitator was actually being used during that meeting. I could have clicked the Copilot icon from the menu up at the top as well to have it automatically be using Copilot during the meeting. And I'm not sure if you've done that yet, but let me give you an example of why you would use that. So there was a Copilot icon during that meeting that you could have clicked on if you're in a Teams meeting. And what that gives you an advantage of is, what if you showed up late and they were recording and they had the facilitator? You would be able to go back and be asking the facilitator questions through Copilot about what it is that you missed. Has anybody talked about this yet? Or whatever it is you need to get a recap of what you missed in the first 10 minutes or whatever it was of that specific meeting. But of course, now we can use that facilitator for after the meeting as well. I'm going to double click and open this meeting up. It hasn't come back and given me everything, but you could see that it now has this recap. Here's the recording, and of course, here's the attendance. But I could actually take advantage of using the facilitator by going into this recap. This recap can automatically generate different information for you depending on exactly what it is that you want. You can have an audio recap. I can go straight into Copilot, and Copilot then can help answer any questions. This is where I use it the most, is I open up Copilot when I'm recapping my meeting, and this is where I'm going to be asking it my questions. So you could see that it's got some suggestions down at the bottom. So I wanted to recap the meeting in detail. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Now, of course, this wasn't a very long meeting that I was doing because we're in class, but just so you could see what it's going to come back with. I could be asking it questions, asking Copilot through the facilitator. I could be asking it questions as to, was there any tasks that we want to be adding to Microsoft Planner? Are there any follow-ups that we should be doing? Or I could even say, write a follow-up that we can be putting in Teams channels post related to this meeting. Whatever it is that you want Copilot to help you with for after you're done with that meeting, it's going to be able to do that. So you could see that it came up with new project in 2026 meeting. I can't directly provide the discussion points because we didn't really have a lot of discussion, but you could see that it will search through your meeting notes, search through everything that was said based on who asked questions. And by the way, I could even say, who was the participant that asked this question? Because if it didn't document it someplace else, or it's on the recording, but I don't want to have to go back to the recording, I want to know who it is that asked that. So if they unmuted themselves and talked instead of putting it in the chat, because yeah, we could go back to the chat, but why don't I just ask Copilot to do it for me? But if it wasn't in the chat and they just unmuted themselves and talked direct, this is where we could take advantage of that. But you can see that it's got other suggested prompts, and this is how you can really learn what Copilot can actually give you advantages on. So search my Teams chat for notes on the meeting. Find any emails about this meeting, or check for any files related to this meeting. So if I say check for files related to this meeting, it's going to run out to my account and look for any files that were directly related. So if I had already started an issue log or whatever it is related to that project, it's going to go out there and find the corresponding information related to that meeting. So it's pretty cool how Copilot is truly your assistant. Now, I did have a slide with a video of how to use the facilitator a little bit better. But I won't run that because we're almost out of time already. But because sometimes I can't always demonstrate, I wanted to have a video recording to demonstrate.
Okay, you ready for the...
But just so you could see, there are so many automation features that Copilot can do in Microsoft Teams. I ask Copilot all the time to do things for me, because if you get a lot of chats, if you are, did you have any missed voicemail messages? It's not just doing posts, doing chats, and doing meetings. Copilot can really be looking at a lot of other things as well. It can help with doing to-do items. So based on the last 2 weeks, of chats, are there any to-do items that I should be aware of? Anything that hasn't already been done? Suggest next steps for today's meeting. Create a follow-up meeting for unresolved items within a meeting that we just had. Add action items to Microsoft Planner and assign them to the right people. So if I'm doing a recap on a meeting, that would be a great suggestion that we could do. Or draft a team's post summarizing the next steps and the deadlines. So it can look at the information that was done during a recap or any information that you have in chats, in previous posts, and things like that. And it can automatically do those kind of things. So as you kind of think about what it is it's going to do for you, really capturing content, summarizing decisions, scheduling, helping you to do follow-ups. So based on, these chats that we've been doing, do you recommend that we do a meeting? And if so, what would be the meeting agendas? So use it in chats, use it in channels, have it help you with writing the chats, have it help you write the announcements that you need to do, especially depending on who those announcements are going to. If you're going to be putting a post in a channel that is related to all of the managers of the accounting department and you wanted to draft a professional response, give it the detail that it is that you need and let Copilot help you write that. Make sure that you use it for summarizing things. I have it summarize my meetings the most. I also have it summarize chats because I don't want to have to go back through time and say, okay, I had this chat with student one, and we can have 20 different chats going on in a couple of days, depending on what we're working on and what we're doing. Just think how Copilot can actually help you summarize all of those different chats. So draft an announcement, summarizing a project kickoff detail, write a post reminding the team about a deadline. I put those in my team's chats all the time. So those kind of things are just suggestions of how you could be using things. Like an example could be that it puts in a reminder about that project kickoff meeting. It can even look to see, do you have that scheduled? So we could have it be writing something specifically about that and putting it in the post. So just kind of think about the ways that you can be taking advantage of it. So most common, use the facilitator now. Have that be a part of your team's meetings that you are doing so that it can run meetings smoother. You're going to be able to have that follow-up capability. It's going to be able to generate real-time notes for you either during the meeting or it can do it after the meeting, depending on what it is that you want. It can help you not only summarize key decisions, it can go back and look for any questions that people had had during that meeting discussion. It can help answer any open-ended questions. It can help with documentation of the meeting, whether it's the agenda at the beginning, it's the meeting notes, or it's something that you're going to do as a follow-up. Whatever the case is, Copilot is going to be there to help you. And by adding the timer in that facilitator choice, that is a great option as well. I like having the timer. I've been using that recently with my team's meetings now that I found out how great it is, because then people know this keeps you on track. Because I got to tell you, if I attend a meeting and it doesn't start for 5 minutes after it was supposed to start, half the people didn't show up on time, blah, 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 whatever the case is, that's not an efficient meeting. So I like having that timer so everybody knows this is when we're going to be starting. But Copilot itself can be used in so many different ways. Asking questions through the Copilot chat, even if I'm in Microsoft Teams and I want to have a conversation with Copilot, I'm in my chat. I just go and open up my Copilot window on the right-hand side, and I am instantly using Copilot constantly throughout that.